As a business coach, relatability matters. Your tone matters. What you say matters. Your message matters. That's what we're discussing in this quick training, all about how we come across, what we say, what that can do to either accelerate or decelerate a relationship that you're building, specifically, even with prospects as a business coach. There's one thing that you must kind of always have this idea about sharpening the saw, right? It's about the concept that, yes, we are coaching people. Yes, we're helping them to grow profitability. We're helping them become a leader. We're helping with their culture in their business and all the things that surround that. But at the same time, we really don't want to look at just what we do as a business coach. What you should really look at yourself as is as a strategist, specifically a business strategist. And this is the part you want to constantly sharpen the saw. One is all around as a strategist, my mindset, right? As a strategist, we're a guide. We're guiding people to results. We're guiding people to profitability. We're guiding people to better understand how to be a leader, even if they don't feel like one, right? So it's the mindset of the guide and the strategist. It's the behavior of the guide and the strategist. It's the message of the guide and the strategist, the body language of the guide and the strategist, the communication style. And certainly all of those are things that we work on a consistent basis. We're all in different places, right? We all have different unique experiences. But when we constantly look at where am I going to consistently get better, those areas I just shared with you is something that you want to have a heart to daily, weekly, monthly, annually to refine. Those are the bedrocks of becoming an amazing strategist, an amazing guide, helping people get results. For today's purpose, though, we're going to talk about one word, and that's casual. I want you to just process that for a moment. What's the difference between business casual and what's the difference between business professional? And why would I care about either one of them? And how can being more casual actually propel me and accelerate the conversation? Now, I am not suggesting that you be overly casual and unprofessional. What I'm suggesting is there's three elements that you want to recognize that can help you kind of stand out from all the noise, stand out from all the clutter, and to be able to know that you're making an impression and a difference. Because part of this, as we're building relationships, and we could spend a lot of time just talking about the relational aspect. Remember this, that when you're engaging with business owners, they've got people who are attempting to sell to them all the time. All the services, payroll services, pest control services, point of sale, insurance, you name it. The list goes on and on and on and on and on. So we have to recognize is that before we ever interact with somebody that we don't yet know, regardless of how we get introduced to them, that there is a constant, steady stream of flow of someone attempting to sell something to them. We don't want to do that. You do not want to be in that category. We want to separate ourselves from that category. That's the reason why propping yourself up and learning to be a strong strategic voice versus someone who sells business coaching services. Big difference. When we embody this idea that we're just selling business coaching services, we get thrown into the lump of everybody else just trying to sell whatever, right? And they're all real and they're all necessary. They're all needed, but that's just the way things can work, okay? And so what you want to do is to be able to understand how can I come across and build my message, build my tone in a casual manner versus an overly professional. Here's why. Those businesses are often receiving emails and texts from people who are using a template that has a very similar kind of overly professional tone. And oftentimes it has a sound of what it would have sounded like in the 2000s, right? And all that does is just become noise, truthfully. That's why it's so difficult. But when you're relatable, that's point number one. When you have a more casual, relatable approach, game can change. Think about it like this. Would you rather them view you as someone that they could see having dinner with in their home? Like, think about that type of conversation. If you were in their home and having dinner, are you going to talk to them with a bunch of professional jargon that's, written, in a manner that just kind of misses, truthfully? No. You want to be overly relatable. We're trying to be relatable and build a connection. And you can do that when you kind of bring it down a little bit and just sound a little more approachable with a casual manner. Let me be very quick to add. It's one thing if you were serving and selling to the Fortune 100 world, and some of you might. If that's you, That's a little bit different. But for the vast majority, probably 98% of all business coaches and strategists, they're working with a lot of businesses that are sub 50 million a year, sub 100 million a year, or whatever. And that's where you certainly can make a bigger difference by having a more approachable, casual tone. So we want to be relatable and build a strong connection. We want to have authenticity and a differentiation. And here's the goal when you're more casual. You have this ability for someone to go, this feels different. They may not say those words. Oftentimes it's subconscious, but you want them to feel that way. Like, man, this feels very different. Well, what they're simply saying is you're relatable. You're liked. One of our goals is to be known, liked, and trusted. Okay? Those are elements. Well, hard to do that when it just appears, when you're overly professional in your tone, it just sounds like you're just already selling something. Casual says, I want to invite you to coffee and just get to know you, right? Professional is, hey man, glad to meet you. Here's what I have to sell to you. That's just but it happens every single day. And the third thing that's important in building just a casual tone and approach about you as a strategist is how more clear and more of an impact that you can make. So here's the action items of what you can do to begin to do this. Today with AI, it changes the ability to do this in a much natural or much easier way, I should say, right? So you can go and let's just say that you're going to write an email, and let's just pretend for the moment that you're sending that to a potential prospect. You got the name from a friend of yours, so it's a referral, but the prospect does not know you. You can write that email, but then you can take it to AI. I don't care which platform you want to use, doesn't matter. They say, this is the email I want to send. I want this tone to sound more approachable, more casual, leaning with a business flair. I want the end user, the prospect, to feel like this is different. I want the tone to feel like it's connecting with them as a human. And I don't want it to have any element of it sounding like all I'm attempting to do is to sell them something, because my goal is to build a relationship. Like, that's a prompt you would use with AI to deliver. And like everything else in life, the more times you do this, the more conversation you create with it, you get really, really good at it. And I'll say it this way too, is perhaps everybody's personality is different. You may have a different one than mine. God wired us all very differently, right? However, our goal, and as we're building relationships and adding value and building consistency with people, is to have a tone that is super relatable. Some of you, this will become natural. Some of you, you're going to have to work harder at it. Just as simple as that. So the goal for this training, work at having a business casual tone that differentiates you from the crowd, that makes you highly relatable, that makes you come across very appealing, and it draws magnetism to you, who you are, and what you do to be able to help the end user. Because the more that you do that, the faster that they're going to hear how you can help them solve problems, avoid of what you're attempting to try to sell. We shouldn't be able to sell anything. We want to interact and help those who need help. And specifically, we're going to show them how they can invest into growing their business. We're just the agent to do that very thing. It's a big shift. So your words matter. Casual matters. Overly selling words will be abrasion points. That makes it more difficult for you to connect with your prospects. All right. Hope that helps. Take care.